Just look at that, guys. Sequentials on a MK6 Jetta with GLI taillight. What's up, you guys? How's everyone doing today? This is Mr. Greek 2002. In today's video, we're going to be installing sequential turn signals into my existing MK6 Jetta GLI LED taillights that I got from China, obviously. It's, I guess, a knockoff version of them. Alright, guys. So what I actually got was these 12-volt NE555 timer relay motherboard chip. I'll make sure to put a link down in the description. So you see, guys, it's a simple mod. They just cost me about $5 each. So in total about $10. You're gonna need 2 of them, one for each taillight side. Alright. That's because we only have 4 turn signals. If you had more than 4 turn signals, you probably need 2 each side. So 4 altogether. Because we only have 4 turn signals, 2 on the driver's side and 2 on the passenger side, we're only going to need 2 of these motherboard chips. So without further ado, on with the video. Let's head out to the trunk of the car now and begin to pull out the tail lights and also pull out the tail lights wiring adapter harness for the MK6 Jetta GLI LED tail lights. So let's begin, guys. I've already got my caps off the back of my taillights here. You see the wiring and everything exposed. Let's begin off the other side as well. Here's everything back here. Yep. Let's unscrew off the taillight. So first we're beginning here on the passenger side. So once I had the taillight out, I then had the wiring come out as well. Alright, so here's the wiring. You can see here, this top connector is connected to the inner taillight turn signal wiring. And here's that same wiring harness on my kitchen table. You can see I've used tap connectors to connect the 2 connectors together instead of soldering it. I know it's the laser route and maybe the worst route because you might get a loose connection, but that's what I'm supposed to do. I got this wiring diagram of the adapter piece for my GLI LED taillights off of a guy from YouTube. He's also on VolkswagenVortex.com as well as I am. So basically it gives you a drawing, like, a readout of what wires go where and what wires are for what. I actually never used a load register on my taillight wiring. I just used my VCDS computer to just code out the error codes on my dashboard. So let's begin wiring up this motherboard chip. Alright, guys, starting out, I used 18 gauge wiring, I believe, for this wiring job, basically. I also used some tap connectors, so all you basically need is some 18 gauge wiring. I'd say about half a meter of it, to less than half a meter of it. Obviously cut up into, multiple small pieces. And I'd say maybe about 6 or less tap connectors. Now, you could probably use less tap connectors if you really wanted to, somehow, but I use about 6 of them. About 3 for the one side of the wiring, and 3 for the other end of the car's wiring, basically. So anyways, starting out here, I used 1 small wire to connect from the power port of the motherboard chip to the COM port of the motherboard chip. I then went to the actual car female connector, you see on the right hand side here. On the number 4 spot wire, I tapped a new wire onto that number 4 spot wire coming from the car's female connector, and I went all the way forward to the power wire. So I tapped into the power wire there of the power, port on the motherboard chip. And once that was done, I then installed a brand new short wire of 18 gauge wire onto the actual ground hole on the motherboard chip, and the other end of the wire went into the number 3 spot wire of the actual female car's connector wires. So what I did was I opened up the number 3 tap connector and I shoved the other end of that ground wire into that tap connector, and I then, squeezed it closed to tighten it back up and then close the flap on it. And then one of the final wiring steps was to take the other end of that number 4 wire, this time coming off of the LED taillights actual connector that goes into those LED taillights. Alright, so you take that number 4 wire off of there, which is that brown wire you see there, on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. So you take that wire and you stick it into the CK spot on the actual motherboard chip and you screw it into it. And then all that's left to do is when you actually get out to the car, you see that tap connector there on the left hand side that's open and unconnected yet? A wire that comes from the inner tail light from the trunk, basically, on the trunk. You basically connect that wire to that tap connector on the left hand side of the wiring harness here, and that'll activate that turn signal to turn on when your turn signal is turned on as well. So that tap connector that's open and unconnected, it's basically sitting on that wire that's coming from the car's female wiring connector, the number 4 wire. So you see the number 4 wire comes out. It's like a blue color wire. It comes out. It goes into a tap connector, which then taps onto a black wire, which then goes into the power spot on the actual motherboard chip. So this tap connector that's unconnected just basically latches onto that wire and connects the inner taillights wiring onto it in order to make the inner taillight flash when you have your turn signal on. And next to this photograph, you can see everything plugged into the car. Wow. Once you either press unlock or lock, or the trunk button on your key fob, or the actual hazard switch light inside the interior cabin of the car, you'll see the red light start to come on and flash every time the turn signal flashes as well. The next step is you must actually go inside your cabin and turn on your hazard switch on the dashboard to get a constant flashing of your turn signals. Alright, and then once you've done that, you take a small, tiny, flathead screwdriver and you actually go on the NE555 chip and you use the screwdriver to turn that gold screw counterclockwise. And I do mean counterclockwise. I've tried to use the screw clockwise at first, but nothing was happening. So as soon as I started turning that screw counterclockwise, it took a while. It took at least maybe 20 seconds or so of turning non-stop that screw in order to get it working, but eventually you get it working and you'll have this result. 2 lights flashing, a red light and a blue light. So the red light will be the actual turn signal, the inner one, which is located on the trunk lid. And then the blue light is actually the delayed turn signal light, and that's going to be the light on the actual quarter panel tail light. So again, here's another look at that wiring harness to show you guys exactly how I wired it. Take a very good look at it, inspect it, and dissect it. I also took some time to draw this diagram. You'll see some X's in this diagram. The X's basically mean that there's no wire connection there. It's just, overlapped just by happenstance. there's no actual connection. So wherever you see X's, there's no connection. Just skip over that connection and don't connect the wires there. Alright, let's head out to the car now. Okay, so here at the car, you can see my driver's side tail light, the inner and the outer one. Good. Now let's head over to the passenger side, where I've already got the outer tail light taken out and the new wiring harness plugged in. That's what it looks like, guys. Nice. Now let's get closer and get a good close-up of the wiring installed. There it is. Here we are, close up. Let's pull it out, show you guys. There we are. Wonderful. Nicely done. Now here I'll show you what the function actually looks like. And look at that. The function works perfectly fine. If you go over to the other side, you see it. Doesn't work at all because I haven't installed it there yet. Go back to the passenger side where it's installed. Works fine. Yep, perfect. So naturally the next step is, once you're done everything, to come back inside, your place of residence and to tape up very well with electrical tape, black in this case, the actual motherboard chip itself, to make it, obviously a lot more waterproof and weather resistant. So once you've got the wiring harness, motherboard, chip all taped up and ready to go to be installed in the car completely, you basically just plug it in, re-tap connect the wire that's from the inner tail light turn signal, and then obviously install the tail light, first plugging in the wiring obviously, and you push the wiring out through that hole that's in the actual quarter panel. So the wiring basically pokes out into the trunk opening basically. Here you guys can see the tail light working at nighttime. Wow, it looks so magnificent. So now that the passenger side wiring is all done and the tail light's all completed, next up we work on the driver side wiring harness and build that. So go ahead and do that. Here I give you a good look at it. Once that's done, make sure to re-tape up the motherboard chip again with black electrical tape to make it, more water resistant and, protect it from the elements, basically. Then, once that's done, you reinstall it back in the car, you reinstall your tail light, and before screwing in the tail light completely, do a final check to see if it works or not. And again, just like on the other side, you'll have some wires and the actual motherboard chip poke out a little bit into the trunk area. I'm going to have to move over and play around with the wiring and the actual motherboard chip in order to make it more pushed inside there and flush with the trunk carpet, so therefore I can actually put the cover back on. After I was done everything, I reinstalled and re-screwed in the outer tail light and turned my hazards back on, and lo and behold, they work and look amazing. So here's a comparison video. Wow. And the after. Oh my goodness, it looks amazing. And we're outside here now at this park. It's called Stone Farm Park here in Thornhill, Ontario, Canada. Just north of Toronto, Canada. So here at the park with the MK6 Jetta. So guys, here it is. I've got my famous Tim Hortons coffee here now, with the roll-up cup still. Apparently the contest is still going on for another month or so. We've now completed the turn signal sequential mod in my GLI LED taillights, facelifted ones. Here's the key. Let's press lock. See it? Works. Unlock. Works. Wonderful. Awesome. And if some of you guys have noticed, my driver's side inner tail light turn signal, only half of it actually lights up and works. Apparently I got a defective tail light on the inner driver's side from obviously the manufacturers in China. They must have made it, obviously a bad part, and they gave it to me, and that's what I'm left with now. Bad part. You see, only half lights up, whereas the passenger side one works just fine. So as you can see now, my hazard lights are on, and you see the sequential taillights working. And that concludes the video, everyone. I hope you guys found this video informative, and it gives you some kind of idea of how sequential turn signals will look like on your MK6 Jetta. I know that the base model MK6 Jettas don't have LED taillights with the inner and outer turn signals working. They just have the outer ones. So this is primarily for those people who have GLI taillights with the LED versions that have turn signals both in the inner and outer side of them. I had such a good time working on this video. I loved the outcome. I love my sequential turn signals. But just like that, this video is all over. Take care. Have a good day. Please like and subscribe for more content. And I'll see you guys on the next one.